Just curious. Does Millie pay attention to when you guys are watching things?
If she hears like a dog bark or something that
Yeah.
is loud or something, then she'll respond. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Oh, Marie's here. Marie and Kavik and Daniel, maybe. Let's see. I hear her, but I don't see him quite yet. Hello, how are you? Hey,
I'm good. How are you?
good. How's little Kavik?
He's doing good. He's having a little diarrhea this morning, but
Oh,
otherwise
poor
we're
thing.
functioning
Yeah.
good.
Usually that just goes away on its own. Yeah, just a little episode. Hopefully it'll be gone.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Yeah. Hang on, I'm gonna grab a little pad and a pen for some notes. Hold on one second.
No.
Just expecting one more student, Bailey with JC and Eric. Maria, I was just telling them that, so Dane got in touch and him and Gunther won't be here today. He's got some work conflict, so, but I'm recording it, so I'll be able to catch him up. Let's see. Little trivia. Shane, I was asking about whether Reba paid attention to the screen. I just learned this recently that with analog TV and images, the way it works is motion and video, our brains are actually analyzing it as a series of pictures. And we're capable of processing about 60 frames per minute, but dogs are actually capable of processing about 70 to 80 frames seconds, sorry, not per minute, per second. So analog TV, dogs didn't pay much attention to because they could see like the blank spaces in between of the frames. So it became pretty dull to them, but now with digital, it's a bit more interesting to them because they don't have the blank spaces because it comes across faster. But the upshot is dogs actually experience the world a little faster than we do. That's why they're so good at like catching balls, and because they can just like catch that quick movement. It's not a lot faster, but like I said, we process about 60 frames per second when we're watching moving images, which is basically all the time. And they process 70 to 80. So they're a little sharper in us in that department. And, you know, of course, in the nose department as well, by, you know, gazillions. Okay, well, I think we're going to get going. If they join along, hopefully we can just get them caught back up because it's about 4 minutes after. So yeah, again, we just like to start out class with our dogs. If you know, get your mat out. Looks like Reba's doing some great settling. Millie's doing some good settling. We'll just have them settle with a chew if you have it, just to do some of that passive calming activity of working on a chew. But if they're settling like Millie is, you can just treat that, reward that calm behavior. Anyone have any cute puppy stories they want to share from the week? No pressure. I'm just always interested in like anything that might have transpired that was cute or interesting or all the above.
Well, Reba has a puppy friend. We
Okay.
have a friend that got puppy around the same time as us. She's a month older and she's a doodle mix.
Okay.
and they're very well matched. Like it's been the best playmates so far. So we
Nice.
take
I'm glad to
turns
hear
where
that.
they come to our yard and we go to theirs. And we needed to
I'm
paint,
so happy to
so
hear that.
we had her go to their house for like several hours while we painted.
Oh,
And
she's like, that's the bomb.
well, surprisingly, the other dog had more energy than she did and ended up
Oh, okay.
needing to like separate them so she could take a nap.
Okay. And they're both the other one's a puppy as well. Yeah, about the same age. Interesting. Well, yeah, I guess they kind of wax and wane differently, with their what kind of puppy is the other one?
Aussie Doodle.
Oh, Aussie Doodle.
Aussie Doodle. Yeah, pretty high energy. You got that working dog thing going on there with the especially the Aussie part. So yeah, but yeah, terriers are particularly high energy dogs. But yeah, Aussies are right up there with it. So yeah, they must just been their circadian rhythms were slightly off. But yeah, well, that's great that you have that for her. That's rare that you get that kind of opportunity to have that. And it's just close by. Okay, I'm just going to keep a lookout for JC and Eric. Okay, so we're going to start out with Down today. We're going to do a little introduction to Down. Couple things about Down. It is a bit of a vulnerable position for dogs. So if they don't want to do a down in a particular environment, I wouldn't push them. I just respect that. They usually need, depending on the dog, need to be in a pretty high level comfort zone to do that. And of course, then there's just, not wanting to put their bellies on a cold floor or ground, can sometimes be a factor. So, and Marie, sometimes with little small dogs, I don't know if you've been working on Down at all, but sometimes sometimes small dogs have a little bit more reluctance to go into a down. I don't know, have you been working on that at all or experienced that at all with
We
Tabby?
have, and he's been pretty good with both sit and down. So yeah.
Okay, good. So
Yeah.
so might not be an issue with him.
Yeah, the only thing maybe sit reluctant wise when we're outside and it's cold.
That exactly. So that's that's one of my points is and who could blame them? I mean, I would hardly
Exactly.
want to lay my belly down on the cold ground either. So fair enough. But yeah, and also it is a vulnerable position because even in the summer they might not want to do that as well. But so with Down, we're going to start from the beginning, just like with Sit, and go through the process of starting with, we're going to use a lure again, like we did with Sit, where we put a piece of food in our hand and then we move them into the position. And like with Sit, we're going to use the lure until we get a number of successes. We'll just say 5, give or take. And then we're going to try to get that lure out of our hand. And like with Sit, what we'll do is we'll still do the lure motion with the lure in our hand, but we won't release the lure. We'll mark and reward and deliver the treat from the other hand. So we're getting them used to that bit of a delay to get that reward. And then we'll do that for a few times, and then we'll just get the food entirely out of our hand, and then it'll just be an empty hand, giving the signal, the luring motion. And again, we'll mark and reward from the other hand. And keep in mind that the luring motion, slowly but surely, I mentioned this last week with Sit, will slowly but surely start turning into your hand signal. And along the way, I'll have you guys just, if you're getting good success with it looking just like the lure, I'll have you start, maybe relaxing your hand a little bit, and then maybe start slowly turning your hand around and being, you're still being pretty dramatic with it. I'm doing a Sit motion right now, but being pretty dramatic. But eventually what you're hoping you're going to get is you'll just be able to go just like that. And then your dog will go into a Sit because we'll just slowly make it less dramatic. And so like the lure becomes the hand signal. So with Down, we're going to put the food right at their nose, and we are going to lower it straight down to the floor between their legs, And then depending on the dog, usually if you pull it out just a tiny bit, so you just pull it out a tiny bit, they'll start lowering their elbows to the floor. Some dogs, you need to push it in a little bit. Depends on the dog. So you just kind of experiment. Some dogs will do it just with the straight down to the floor. And so then you'll mark, and then you'll release the lure treat to them, same as we did with sit. So no verbal yet. We'll formally introduce the verbal maybe next week or the week after. I can't remember, but we like to hold off on the verbal until the behavior looks like we want it to. So we'll name it after it looks, well, the way we want it to. But we don't want to name it when they're only partially doing the behavior. Some dogs, puppies, notoriously, and I don't know if any of your dogs are going to do that, or actually think down is an action, not an actual position. So they'll go down and they'll just touch their bottom on the floor and they'll be like, okay, I'm done. So if that's the case, and I'll watch and see if that's happening, I think with these guys, they're probably going to stay in the down at least for a split second or so. But that was sit, but with down, same thing, where they'll down and they'll pop back up. So we'll teach sit and down as an actual position, not action. And so if that's the case, you put them in the down and they immediately pop back up. You just got to be ready when they're actually in the down to deliver some rapid fire treats, just right between their legs. So they're still forced to stay in the down in order to get the treats. So you just deliver 2 or 3 treats and then just toss a treat off to release them. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick demo with Lolly. I think I'm going to go ahead and go into full screen here. I'll keep checking back, just easier for me to see what I'm doing. When I'm in full screen, I can't see if someone actually shows up, but I'll check back again after this behavior. Okay, Lolly, you're on. Okay, so we like at this point to start a down from a sit, and the reason for that, I'll put my head in here. The reason for that is that it's easier. Eventually, when you've got a really solid down from a sit, then you can start working on doing a down from a stand. It's just a little more difficult, so we like to make it as easy as possible in the beginning. So you can put them in a sit, and you don't need to reward them for the sit. It's okay if you do, but there's really no reason because they're about to get rewarded for the down. So just kind of streamlines things a little bit, unmuddies it, just to get them in the sit and then go and then start the behavior. So I'm going to put a piece of food in my hand. I'm going to put it at her nose, and then I'm going to lower her down right between her legs. And with her, she works best for her if I pull it out a little. Beautiful. And then I'm going to release the treat to her. Good girl. And I'm just going to toss the treat off. So I'll do that one more time. This time I'm actually going to have the treat in my hand, but I'm not going to give her this treat. I'm going to give her the treat from my other hand. So this is after you get 4 or 5 successes with the lure. Good girl. And her nose straight down between her legs. Pull it out a little bit. I'm going to mark it, and then I'm going to deliver the treat from my other hand. Good girl. So we just call that fading the lure. I'm going to do it one more time. A no treat in my hand. And I'm going to make it look like the luring motion, and then I'm going to deliver the treat from the hand. Good girl. Nicely done. Okay. And at this point, you guys thinking about a word that you'd like to use for your release word. It's really good to have a word that you can say when you're done with the behavior and then toss a treat out. And eventually they're going to start associating with the release word when you toss the treat out. And eventually you'll just be able to deliver the release word and they're going to know, okay, I'm free to go about my business. I am done now with what is being asked of me. I can be a dog again. So I'm going to have you guys just start with the lure in your hand, get your dog into a sit, and lure them into a down. And whoever's ready, I'll just watch and see. We'll start with, let's see, let's start with Millie. We'll start with Millie. Very good, nice. That looked great. Excellent. And what's your name? You just did the exercise with Millie?
This is my daughter, Kira,
Kira. Okay, yeah, you told me that. Okay, got it.
and she does a lot of training with her.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I could tell that looked pretty natural. That looked great. And did you, I didn't hear because it was on mute, but did you mark it with, you guys are using a marker word or a clicker? I can't remember, Peggy.
We're using a marker word.
Okay, yeah. And I couldn't hear it because it was muted, but was there a marker?
We were going to change to yes, but I can't break my habit, so we're just using good.
Oh, okay, sounds good. I'm just gonna watch it one more time.
Here,
I'm actually getting a delay.
oh, sorry.
Oh no, I don't know if that's you or me.
Come here. Billy, come.
Maybe B, jump up and down and be really exciting.
Billy, come here.
Slap your thighs. There she is.
Oh,
That was beautiful.
good.
Oh, nice. Good job. That looked great. So let's try one. I'm going to leave you guys to practice for a minute. Now let's try one. I think she's ready to do it probably with, you can probably skip, Kara, you can probably skip right to having no food in your hand and just do the luring motion and then mark and reward from the other hand. I think she's ready for that. She's looking pretty good. Can get her up. So yeah, I think you're ready to actually take the food out of your hand, Kira, and just reward from the other hand. So in other words, no food in your hand, and then reward from your other hand. Does that make sense? So we're getting the food out of our hand completely at this point, only because I think Millie is ready for it. So let's see.
But have the treat in the other hand then, right?
Yeah, so you're going to
Okay.
lure her.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah, so she won't get the, exactly. So
Okay.
because of this right here is going to turn into your hand signal and we don't want food in there. So we start out with food in our hand just to help us get the behavior.
Okay.
And then we get the food out. And I just was noticing Millie was ready for that. She definitely looks like she was ready for that. So you guys can just like from this point forward on this behavior, just use the empty hand. See, beautiful, Kira. So yeah, you're already changing that lure into a hand signal. That looks great. So then just reward from the other hand. Fantastic. So just keep working at that. And we'll go on here and take a look at Reba. See where we're at. And if she's jumping up, just get that food a little lower down and be very quick about the motion before she has a chance to jump up to get that food. So as soon as you get her attention.
Love with the down. We've gotten to sit, but we can't get her to down.
Okay, so I can help you out with that.
All right, come here. Come here. She's also very mad that I took her stick away. Come here. I know. It's very upsetting.
Yeah, that's a travesty. I don't know what you were thinking. Yeah, and is the stick somewhere close? Maybe put it in the kitchen or somewhere a little further away, so possibly she's not smelling it as much. So she'll be like, okay, it's gone now. I think I'm just gonna have to let that go. Okay, so let's get your smelliest treats. Put her in a sit. She's still concentrating on that.
What is that thing? Nope.
There it is. Now let's lower it right now. Let's get that right on our nose and lower it right. So I'm noticing, okay, when I told you to do it really quickly, it wasn't fair of me. It was a little confusing. Really quickly in that getting it to her nose, but you might have to move it slower down to the floor. Think about it being like a magnet, and you want to keep it close to her nose all the way down. Okay, a little trick. I'm going to show you a trick for that. Some dogs that have trouble going into a down, what we do is, okay, I'm going to get Lolly out of the way here. So make sure you can see me. So I probably won't get Lolly to do this, but I can still demo anyway. So get on the floor, get your leg up. I'll try. Get your lure ready and lure. Oh, well, look at that. Fantastic. She did it. She surprised me. So we're luring them under our leg, and as they're going under, it forces them into a down, or at least a proximity to a down, approximation to a down. Excellent. Good girl. I'm so proud of you. I didn't think you'd do that. You surprised me. There you go. And sometimes when they don't follow a lure very well, it can be, sometimes that doesn't work. And then I have another idea. So get the lure, cut. Okay. Oh, as you're doing it. So say she's over here, be sure and reach down like this with your lure, and then have your hand like that to try to get her through. It makes it a little easier if you're, instead of starting over here with her, and then pull her through. Okay, I'll tell you what. So let's do this with her. Have treats on you, ready, be observing her, and at any point you see Reba, oh, maybe she's gonna do it. And some dogs are a little timid about going under the leg, so no worries. So what we're gonna do for Reba in the down is we're gonna do something called capturing, which is basically wait for the behavior to happen and then mark and reward it. So I'd like, oh, that's pretty good. You know what? She's almost doing it.
Just keeps going to stand.
So don't worry about it. So what we're going to do with her is we're just going to wait for that behavior to happen. You guys be watching her throughout the day. Whenever you see her go into a down, mark and reward that. And the more times you mark and reward that, the more she's going to offer that behavior. And then we can work on putting that on cue. When you're getting that behavior reliably, well, there it is. Mark and reward that. Go ahead and reward that approximation. She almost went down. So you can do it two ways. You can work on that, when you have time outside of class, or the other way you can do both of these is wait till she does a down, mark and reward it. Eventually she's going to start offering downs more often. And when she's offering them frequently, we'll talk about that. Then we're going to actually go ahead and we'll add a cue to that. And that can be a hand signal or verbal if we're ready for that. So those are your two options. Maybe raise your leg a little higher. There it is. Bravo. She's in it down. Excellent. So I think that's probably going to work for you guys. So go with that. So let's see how Kavik's doing there. Very nice. That's looking great. So you can probably take the food out of your hand there, Marie. She's really, did you have food in your hand?
I had the second step.
Okay, try it this time. She's doing well with this. So let's try it this time. And this time, don't have food in your hand, and see if you can just do the motion, because we're fading the lure. That's what we call this, to get the food out of her hand. So do the same motion, Marie, but no food. Mark and reward from your other hand.
Okay.
That looked great. If you can do it from the other hand, but it's not the end of the world, because we want her to get used to the treat not coming from the hand that's giving the signal.
Like, no.
Got a lot of things. She's got a busy schedule, it looks like. Perfect.
His,
That
his
looks
sister
great.
is crying in
That
the
looks
other
great.
room.
What's that?
His sister is crying in the other room.
Oh, well, that is a huge
Distraction.
distraction. That is almost an impossible distraction to trump. So, okay, that's looking really good, you guys. So after you get a few successes with the food in your hand, go ahead and try to get that food out. If you need to do it with the food in your hand a few times, that's fine. But go ahead and mark and reward from the other hand with, and don't give them the lure. But the goal is to get the food out of your hand and and start moving that into a hand signal. Okay, looking good. Okay, the next exercise we're going to work on is we're going to start working a little bit formally on leash work. We need to teach our pups that staying close to us and giving us their attention really pays off. And if you can get those two things pretty solid, then you're mostly there to having some really good leash walking skills. The exercise we're about to do right now is going to work on rewarding our puppies when they are in the zone. We'll call it the reward zone. So what I'd like you guys to think about, would you like your puppy to walk on your left side or your right side? Just give that a minute's thought. And it doesn't matter, you can change your mind. We can do it anyway, either way today. And then, you can be thinking for the future how you think that in, real life scenario outside what you would like. But for this exercise, we are going to reward our puppies for walking in our zone. In other words, staying in our little bubble. We're making our bubble a little bit small today, but eventually you'll be able to decide what your bubble is as you start working more and more on leash work. But right now, I want your reward zone to either be right at your left side or right at your right side. And I'm going to mark and reward Lolly when she is right at my side. I'm going to do my left side. When she's right there, I'm going to mark and reward her. And then I'm going to take a few steps and I'm going to continue to mark and reward her as she stays in that zone. And what I'm going to have you do is hold your treat right at your pants seam, right down at about nose level to your dog. Well, might be a little harder with Kavik, but as best that you can do to keep Kavik from having to jump up. You might have to do a little crouch walk there, Marie. So we're going to hold the treat right at our pants seam. And I'm going to do a quick little demo with Lolly, and we're going to mark and reward when our puppies are staying in our quote unquote reward zone. And then I'm going to take a few steps, mark and reward, and I'm just going to move back and forth just right across the room, try to stay in view of you guys. I am using some string cheese. It works really well for this. I just pull it off into some strips, and then they can nibble on it as they're walking along. And this will be in your homework. Also, two really great things to use are baby food. You can hold there and let them lick it as you walk. And also putting some cream cheese or peanut butter in a tube and holding that and squeezing it and let them get little licks. And that'll be in your homework, a link to some tubes that you can do that. So right now I'm going to take some string cheese. This is Lolly's favorite thing. And I'm going to get her into my reward zone, and I'm going to mark and reward her for it. Come on, Lolly. I know you like this. So she's in front of me, so I'm going to lure her backwards and then lure her into place, and then there she is. She's right there. And I'm going to continue to click and mark her because she's right where I want her to be. I'm just going to pinch off a little bit. Now I'm going to take a couple of steps, wait for her to get there. There she is. She gets a reward. I'm going to take a couple more steps, wait for her. There she is. We're going to take a little turn. I'm going to lure her around. There she is. Take a couple of steps. She's right there. One more step. Good girl. I'm going to lure her back around. Wait for her. Beautiful. I'm going to go a little faster. See if you can pick up with me. Good girl. Waiting her out. There she is. I'm going to give her that. Nice job. Good job. So see if you can like get a little space. And you can do this on leash or off leash. That's your prerogative. It's looking good with Reba. Very nice. So get that hand down. Oh, very good, Reba. What a good girl. Good work, Shane. And then you can lure them around when you make that turn and wait for them to catch up. Mark and reward that. That's looking great. She's excellent. And then you can just do a little 360 or yeah. So I'd say 180. Very good. And then wait her out. That looks perfect. Good job, Shane. Okay, let's take a look at little Millie. Oh yeah, you got something there for her to lick. Oh, that's perfect. And then take a couple of steps, wait her out. Maybe go a little slower with her with those steps. Yeah, that's a good idea, Peggy. I'm sorry, Kira, to get a Kong and hold down there. Maybe just go a little bit slower with her and just keep that Kong right at your pant seam and just a little lower and then just wait for her. Put it down there so she can see what she's going to get if she just. The peanut butter it really keeps them busy. Let's look at that. I love the peanut butter dog licks. There it is. They're right when she gets there, mark it. Take another step. If she catches up, mark that. That's looking really good, Kira. Very good. And we just wait them out. If you lose them, they're going to catch right back up. Okay, excellent. Good work, Kira. Okay, let's take a look at little Cabot here. Very good. That's looking great. And if she pulls over there, just wait her out. Excellent. So when you lose them for a minute, just be sure when they get right back up with you, maybe put your treat down there a little bit and bribe her a little. Yeah, you can always, and you can also make a little prompting noise. Try not to call their name. You can just make a little noise if they're kind of getting stuck. Just kind of get them back with you. Oh, that's a nice little default down there from Cabot. Okay, you guys, this is looking really good. Excellent. And this will be in your homework, step by step, on how to follow this. Take a break. I was going to talk to you guys a lot about something pretty important. Let me see if there's any notes on this. Yeah, and just also just remember you can use some baby food or a squeeze tube full of cream cheese or peanut butter works great, or dispense with a Kong like Kira was doing. That's actually a really good idea. I'm gonna start putting that in my notes. Thanks for that, you guys. Okay, so let's just let our pups chill for a minute. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about something. I want to talk a little bit about on-leash greetings. When you're out and about with your puppies, we want to teach our puppies that they don't get to greet every single dog, because the reality is they don't get to greet every single dog. It's not safe. We need to teach our puppies that just because they don't get to say hi to another dog, that good things are still going to happen for them. The whole world doesn't exist in getting to greet that dog. If they just stick with you, they're going to get some really cool rewards for just paying attention to you. The thing about it is, because our dogs are not going to get to greet every dog, if they think they get to greet every dog, and maybe they've been getting to greet a lot of dogs, when they don't get to greet a dog, and especially as you start working more formally on leash training, you're not going to want your dog pulling to go greet another dog. So when they don't get to greet that other dog, what happens is it can cause frustration. And that frustration that they feel, they can actually start associating that with the other dog or with other dogs. Oh, I see another dog, I get really frustrated, and that frustration can tip over into over arousal, and then over arousal starts tipping into, I've got a leash reactive dog. They see another dog and they start going nuts. Something that people don't realize is a super friendly dog can actually wind up just as leash reactive as a fearful dog because of the frustration they feel when they don't get to say hi to another dog. At Plucky Puppy, and a lot of trainers feel the same way, we actually don't, we discourage on leash greetings with strange dogs. For one thing, it's not safe. And another thing, like I said, it's teaching your dogs that they get to greet every dog, and that's just not, ultimately you guys are always going to see a dog that you don't want your dog to greet. If you just by looking, you can tell that's not a good situation. So the upshot to this is leash reactivity can come about in both scenarios if we're not careful, and we really have to work on that. And I'm going to teach you guys an exercise to do to try to avoid, actually to try to show your dog that good things happen when they see other dogs, even if they don't get to say hi. Another thing about greetings on leash. First of all, there's a greeting chain that dogs partake in. What happens usually is dogs come together, they do a quick face-to-face. You've seen this many times, I'm sure. They break the face-to-face pretty quickly. It's usually brief. And then they start circling around each other and sniffing each other's hindquarters. And then they either stay and play or they break and then go about their business. When dogs are on leash, it interrupts that natural progression. And what happens is, because of the tension on the leash and because just breaking that chain, they get stuck here in the face-to-face. And what happens is, because of the being stuck like this, and also because the tension on the tight leash, and usually there is a tight leash because the dogs are pulling, this creates friction between the dogs. And usually when dogs are doing on-leash greetings, that's when things escalate. So we prefer to let dogs greet each other in a more natural scenario where they're not on leash, with dogs that they know, dogs that they're having a play date with. What goes hand in hand with this not letting dogs greet strange dogs and limiting the on-leash greetings, what goes hand in hand with that is making sure your dog has plenty of opportunities to actually play and meet other dogs off leash, in a safe environment. So what I'd like for you guys to do is, when your dog sees another dog, notices another dog, I'd like you to mark and reward while they are still calm, before they start flipping their lid that they want to go say hi. Because we want to mark and reward that calm behavior, and we want to make that other dog a non-event. Don't ever worry that you're going to teach your dog not to like other dogs. That's not the case. We're just trying to teach them that, oh, it's no big deal. There's another dog. Hey, good things are happening here for me. I don't really have to go see that dog because my person is going to reward me while I'm in a calm demeanor. Once your dog starts to escalate, then it's not possible to mark the calm behavior. What I would suggest is, if suddenly the dog just gets too close and your dog is immediately reacting, I want to go see this dog, or if they're fearful, I'm not sure about each of your dogs, but once they start to escalate, the best thing you can do is bail them out and just try to move and get some distance between you and the dog at that point. If you get far enough away and your dog is settled back down again and you can still see the dog, at that point, when your dog looks at the dog, then you can mark and give them a treat for that. So the whole goal is to actually mark and reward before they get too excited. Mark and reward the calm reaction to the other dog. And eventually you'll have a dog that sees another dog and they're like, oh, that's cool, no big deal, and just keeps on walking with you. But again, the two things that go hand in hand is you have to make sure that they're getting access to other dogs. in in an environment where they're safe and that the dogs can meet and play and parallel play or just walk with each other or be together with other dogs. So they're still getting that need met. It's just having that need be met under those circumstances with a leash on can sometimes backfire. And down the line, what you're going to wind up with is a dog that's very reactive. Three of my dogs were extremely reactive, and we did a lot of work on marking um, calm reactions when they see another dog, but we had to start with the dog way off in the distance. If we're surprised by a dog coming around the corner, things still go south. But I've done just amazing progress with my dogs now being able to see other dogs and just like, oh, no big deal. And they look back at me like, hey, you know, because they know I'm going to give them something and then we move on. So anyway, that will be in your homework. It will explain that exercise to do. And it also, it'll have an article. I'm sending an article that'll talk more about the whole on leash greetings things situation. Okay, so we're going to move on here. Check my time. Okay, doing good. I want to make sure that you guys are still playing the name game with your puppies. And the name game was say your dog's name. When they look towards you, orient towards you, I'd like you to mark and reward that. But I'd like you now to start doing that with a little bit more distractions going on. And that can be with somebody in your house providing a little distraction, or it could just be doing the name game when you're outside when there are naturally going to be more distractions. If you're in the house, just try to create some distractions to, you know, be creative. Not too much. We want to start with mild distractions. And we're still getting that orientation and that response to their name. So continue working on that. Again, I'll put this in your homework again. And like I said, this time we're going to add some distractions. If you say their name and they don't orient towards you, you can make a little sound. Like I make a clucking sound like that. You can just make some little kissy noises. The one thing I'd like you not to do is repeat their name. If we keep repeating their name, then they're going to start tuning their name out. It will become irrelevant to them. Okay, next up, let's see which one I want to work on here. Yeah, this is what we're going to do. So I'm going to do an introduction to Leave It today. Leave It can save your dog's life. I had a dog years ago before I had any training whatsoever. And so obviously I had not worked on Leave It. And he found a wad of chicken bones on the ground and gobbled it up. And he actually, he lived, I'll just say that, but he choked. He clinically choked, meaning it blocked his airway completely. And lucky for me, my dog was a genius. And he threw himself on the ground onto his side and it unlodged it. It came flying out. So it was very, very lucky for me. One of the things too is my dog was aggressive. And if I had tried to do some intervention, I could have been extremely hurt. Poor guy, he was pretty bad off. Had a terrible history. And so he had some major aggression issues. So honestly, if he hadn't saved himself, I wasn't sure if I was actually going to be able to save him. I probably would have tried anyway, which might not have wound up good for me. But so my point being, if I hadn't taught my dog Leave It, that would not have occurred. Most likely would not have occurred. So we're going to teach Leave It as an attention-getting cue. I'm sure you guys have seen, and you've probably done it yourself. I know I've done it, where someone will scream or bark out, Leave It! And the dog will maybe leave it because they just got the bejesus scared out of them. And they're so startled that they're going to leave it. But we're going to teach it so that we don't actually have to like scream it. We can actually say it happily, because our dogs are going to be very excited when we say it and very happy, because we are going to build a history of when they see something and you say leave it and they turn back towards you, they're going to get an extravagant, wonderful prize for that. And so by consistently working on this exercise, they will come to decipher the human language of leave it into amazing things are about to happen for me. So they will hopefully not go for the leave it thing, and they will turn back to you and wait for their yummy treat. So the way we do it is we break it down into tiny steps. And in the beginning, it doesn't really look like the real life scenario, but we will teach this by approximations. It's actually, the technical term is shaping. It's one of the ways we get behavior. We'll start out by teaching them the first step. And the first step, at the beginning of the first step, we won't even use the term leave it. We will not even say it. Kind of how we've been doing it with sitting down. We're leaving out the verbal at this point, but we're going to add that pretty quickly on with leave it. First step of leave it. We're going to take a low value treat. I recommend kibble. Usually it will be less attractive to a dog. And we'll put a piece of kibble in our hand. We'll close our fist. We will have super high value treats at the ready in our pouch or in our other hand, which preferably behind your back or like tucked up here. And we are going to present our closed fist with the low value treat to our dog's nose. And we're going to wait. And usually what happens is they're going to be sniffing, clawing at it. They're just going to, be trying everything. And then suddenly they're going to go, they'll stop, because dogs are opportunists and they do what works until it doesn't work anymore. And so they're going to pull back. And at that split second, I want you to mark and reward that. Sometimes they're going to disengage from your hand because they were distracted by something. I don't even care. If they pull away from your hand, even for that split second, and with some puppies, you really got to be observant to catch that split second. If they even back away just a hair's breadth from your hand, try to be ready at the ready to mark and reward that. So we'll present our hand 4 or 5 times. If we get 4 or 5 successes of them disengaging, mark and reward it, then we're actually going to say leave it. We're going to pause, and then we're going to present our hand. We pause because it gives our dogs a chance to know what game we're playing. So I'm going to do this exercise with, actually, I think I'm going to bring my Chihuahua out for this one. She loves this game. So hang on 1 second. Lollipop, come on. Sorry, good girl. Okay. This is little Abigail. She loves to train. It's her favorite thing in the world. She does this one pretty good, so she's probably going to not even go for my hand. So as soon as she pulls back, I mark and reward it. Put it right at her nose. She pulls right back. There you go. Thank you. Oh, do it one more time. This time I'm going to add the leave it cue. Leave it. Good girl. Nicely done. So low value treat in your leave it hand. If you present your hand and your dog doesn't even know that it's there, for some reason is distracted, so that they don't even notice that you're doing anything, then go ahead and pull it back and wait, and then present it again. If you present your hand and they see it and you can tell that they're looking at it and noticing it, but they don't go for it all, that's fantastic. Mark and reward that too. So let's give it a whirl. Let's start with little Kavik. So again, low value treat, fist closed, present it right at their nose. Wait till they disengage and be ready to mark and, oh, that was quick. Very good. Kavik did that right away. Now, and then after the exercise, after each repetition, retract your hand and then present it again. We want there to be like definitive starts and finishes to this. Beautiful. When Kavik reared back, that was perfect, Marie. That you don't even need any more than that. Yes, Kavik, when you left your hand there, he did start pawing at it, but go ahead and mark and reward that first disengagement and then remove your hand. So we don't want to like tempt him to like fail. So as soon as he succeeds, then we'll pull it back. There it was, beautiful. So this just requires a lot of astute observation and timing to get it to be ready to mark and reward as soon as they look. And what he's doing is he knows where that good treat's coming from, but that's okay. He's looking over there because he knows that it's going to come from around there, but it's all right. I wouldn't worry about that. So Marie, I think you're ready to go ahead and add the leave it. So you can go ahead and say leave it and then pause and then go ahead and present your hand. That's looking good, Marie. Keep that up. So yeah, just put that little pause in there because we'd like them to know what game we're playing. It kind of gives them a second to get their head in the game. I'll just watch one more and then we'll move on. One more for Kavik. There it is. So Kavik's barely even engaging now. And on your treat hand, Marie, is it behind your back or just over to your side? Oops, sorry. Yeah, I can't hear you.
It was started up by my side, then I started moving it behind my back.
Very smart, because you can tell that he's very
Yes.
focused on that. Yeah, and that's okay. If it's behind your back and he's still looking over there, that's perfectly fine. We won't worry about that, but we just make it as far away from him, his line of vision as possible. That's looking really good. So let's take a look at excuse me, little Millie, see where we're at. Oh, she's sleeping there.
She's sleeping. I don't think we're gonna get her.
No
But my
worries.
question is oh, now she got it. We'll try.
No
Oh, now
worries.
she's back. But once you use the word, so you say leave it, present your hand, and then once she disengages, you give her the treat, correct?
You got it. Yeah, and go ahead and pull your hand back and put it back up here or behind your back. And then to do a repeat, go ahead and present your hand again. We don't want to just leave it out there because we're tempting them to fail. Meaning if they succeed, mark and reward it, start over. Does that make sense? Like
Yes.
re-present your hand. So
Okay.
yeah, you can just do some observation here and it'll be in your homework step by step as well, so that you can work on it then. But I totally understand if you want to leave her sleeping dog's lives, as they say, go for it. So you can just like watch, yeah. So we'll see
Okay,
a little Reba
thank you.
here. Yeah. So let's start over. I was distracted with something. So let's present our hand to Reba's face with the low value treat. Yeah, just wait her out. And as soon as she disengages, perfect. She didn't even go for it at all. That's fine. So get it right down in front of her. That's great. So she's not even going for it at all now, it looks like. Perfect. Good timing. And then after she succeeds with one, is that Darren? I can't see. Oh yeah. After she succeeds with one, go ahead and retract your hand back up to your chest. Or just, out of her line of vision and then represent it. Perfect. Perfect. So let's put it down there. There it was. Beautiful. Great. So she's ready for you to go ahead and add the leave it. So say leave it, pause, and then present your hand. Beautiful. She's getting this game.
Leave it. Good girl.
So we'll say leave it and pause maybe 1 second.
Okay. Leave it. Good girl.
Let's try it one more time.
Oh, sorry. Let's keep doing the things. Leave it.
That's looking great. The only thing I would do is I'd say leave it actually before you put your hand down there. Does that make sense?
To leave
Like-
it before you give it to
Just
her.
say leave it and then present your hand. That's beautiful. She's doing great. Excellent. Good job. Okay, these guys are moving pretty quickly with the leave it. So we'll just keep working on the step 1. It's in your homework. And then next week we're going to move into step 2, which is going to be opening our hand, which gets quite a bit more challenging. But looking good, looking good. See if there's anything here. And I wanted to add that we like to reserve leave it for things that they don't already have possession of. So in other words, if your dog already has something in their mouth, then that would be more of a case for drop it. And I can definitely, hang on, I'm just trying to check the time. Drop it is a little bit different. I'm not going to teach drop it at this moment as I don't have enough time, but I'm actually going to, I'll teach that to you guys next week. It's very simple. Drop it next week. But leave it should be reserved for things that your dog doesn't have yet. So keep that in mind. That's what we want to use leave it for. And always have a lower value treat in your leave it hand. And pause after you deliver the cue, and then go ahead and present it to their face and reward from the opposite hand. And remember, if you present your hand to their face, or right up there, and they just look at it and don't go for it at all, that is success. Because actually that is going to be in the next step. So if they're already not going for it at all, then you're ahead of the game. I've taught leave it to this dog one time, actually 2 dogs I've done this with, and they've had this reaction. Presented my hand and they're like, I am so leaving it, that they hopped backwards. Just so adorable. And you might find your dog doing that. It's like, I am so not going for that I'm actually going to go the opposite direction. So I'm leaving this. Looking good. Quick note. Remember to always have treats available in your house, preferably on your person, but not everyone's going to want to carry treats around all the time. But with a puppy, I actually recommend that. If you don't have a treat pouch and you just want to make sure you've always got treats on you. I used to always have treats in my pocket, and I really got tired of having grease stains in my pants. So now what I do is I just keep a little baggie. If I don't have my treat pouch on me, I just always know I have a few treats in my pocket in a little baggie, just to keep the grease from getting on my clothes. But always have treats ready. And when you notice your dog doing something, offering some calm behavior, that can be like ignoring a distraction, standing calmly, sitting, resting their chin on something, stretching out, laying down, falling asleep. Any of those things or anything else that you can think of that you consider a calm behavior, be sure to notice it. Be sure to reward it. You can mark it, but even if you don't mark it, definitely reward it. If it's a really chillaxed behavior and you don't want to click, say if you're using a clicker, I think everyone's using a marker word though. If you're using a marker word, I would highly recommend in those situations to use a marker word and to deliver it very calmly, because we don't want to add any excitement, any more excitement. If they're already offering a calm behavior, we kind of want to keep in that mode. Let's see, a couple of things otherwise that I wanted to mention. Just make sure I didn't forget anything. We're coming upon the hour. Oh, yeah. Real quickly, highly encourage you guys to get your dogs and puppies socials. I don't know if, have you signed Reba up for any socials, you guys? You have that puppy, which is great, but Reba really needs to get used to playing with different puppies and different play styles, and also meeting strange puppies on a regular basis, because that whole thing is a process in and of itself, getting used to meeting other puppies. and playing with different puppies and learning how to play with different types of play styles. And they teach each other. So that being said, it's fantastic that Reba has this built-in play partner next or in the neighborhood, but I can't emphasize enough how important it is for Reba. And I have noticed that terriers sometimes can have a pretty intense play style just from all the puppy socials I've done. And what can happen too when dogs get used to playing with the same partner over and over again is they learn each other's language so well and they communicate so well, they start taking a lot more risks. And so you're going to find the play gets more and more intense and aroused. And that's fine for them. But when Reba might start to come over here to play with another dog that has a different, maybe a little shyer or a little more reserved, and she starts pulling her moves, the other dog will be like, I don't think so. So she needs to experience that so she can start adjusting her play styles. So I don't know if you guys have gotten Millie involved in any puppy socials, but just checking in real quick. I might just go a couple more minutes and we'll be done.
She has one or two other dogs. One is a puppy her age. That's another doodle, golden doodle. And then we have a friend who has a 2-year-old puppy that we play with, but
Okay,
we have not
that's
done
great.
a formal class.
I
Yeah.
highly recommend it because as I was saying to them that if they play with the same partners over and over again, they really get good at reading each other's language and then they start to take more risks. And they actually need to play with different dogs and meet new dogs because that's part of the socialization to dogs is the constantly meeting new dogs. Because you can wind up with a dog that's like really good with other dogs, but they have to know them first. What you want is a dog that can just be any dog and know how to adjust their behavior. So that being said, I just highly recommend it. And then how about little Kavik?
Yeah, we've been taking him to Pup Star socials every
Okay,
Sunday.
I think you mentioned that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
that's
we
great.
did cancel for today just because of GI stuff, but other
Oh
than
yeah,
that,
yeah. You still got plenty of time. He's how old?
15 weeks.
Yeah, you still got 5 weeks. So
Yeah.
when he gets past this, those last 4 weeks, man, just go for it.
Yeah,
and
and
I
I've
was
been
just-
taking.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. I've been taking him to work as well. So
Yes,
any
it's
coworkers
socialization.
with vaccinated dogs, he met a great
Fantastic.
game.
That's great. That's great.
So yeah,
Cool. And I'll just go over really quickly. We do puppy socials in the Northeast. Tuesday at 1 is the small puppy social. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2:30 are for everyone else. And that's in the Northeast over near the Alberta, about just a few blocks from the Alberta, maybe a mile from the Alberta district. And then Brooklyn Yard Vet, Pup Star's doing them at Brooklyn Yard Vet. But you can look that up under Pup Star or under Brooklyn Yard Vet. That's on their website. Wonder Puppy does them, but they fill up very quickly and there's a waiting list. Doggy Business does them. And I'll put this in your homework. I'll do it every week. I'll put it in your homework so you always have that reference. And Humane Society. And that's going to be it for today. And have a good week. And I'll see you next week. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Bye-bye.